Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. But first of all, Merry Christmas to all of you. I wish you joy, happiness, health and, as usual, peaceful sky. And you know guys, I'm very touched that you spend the time watching my videos, and this one in particular because I'm filming it, then you have the holiday, so thank you for spending your precious time with my company. Now let's go to the news and updates from Ukraine. Yeah, by the way, we have the new poster here, American attack airplane A10, and something went wrong with the Russian attack airplane. Let me show you the case. So here we go. It is a very rare video right from the front lines. This is Sukhoi 25, the analog of A10, but less capable, I would say. Well, here you may see that something went wrong with the nose of the airplane. Something cracked there, causing the part of the skin of the airplane to separate. Well, we have even the close perspective photos of it. This is the canopy of the airplane. It was partially cracked from the sides, and inside there are some of the wires just being cut, so it sustained the damage towards electronics at first. Nevertheless, the airplane continued its trip to destination even with that damage. The opening for me that I thought before that this part is bulletproof, but it seems like it is not. Only this front part is. Yeah, obviously there is the huge armor plates on the sides and below because those planes fly very close to the ground, but on A10 I guess all of the cockpit is bulletproof, but I could be wrong with it. For this year Russia lost many of the helicopters and airplanes, but there's the question whether they're still capable to produce new military jets to replace their losses. Well, we have this article from Defense 24. They analyzed the Russian production and the Russian losses. So for this year Russia produced 24 of the combat aircraft. Here we speak about the fixed-wing aircraft, not the helicopters. And we see also the decline in the Russian production. Also, as it was said by the major mainstream media sources, Russia is not capable to produce, for example, Sukhoi 57 aircraft because of the sanctions applied on Russia, but we're gonna see it the next year, whether really capable or not. For Sukhoi 30, Russia needs Thales electronics, which for them it's hard to get, but Russia continued to produce Sukhoi 34 at the same time and with the same pace as the last year. As for the losses, Russia totally lost 23 of the airplanes, and some of those are unreplaceable. Like we are speaking about Tupolev 22M3 and Tupolev 160M. Well, this aircraft was damaged, but it is no go anymore because it lost the airworthiness. For strategic bombers, Russia lost the production capabilities with collapse of the Soviet Union. What they might do in this case is just to modernize or repair those. As for Sukhoi 34, 9 of those were kaputted and 10 damaged. So Russia barely may replace its losses with new production. Also remember A10 early warning aircraft, the Russian AVAX that was hit in the skies. Well, Russians say that they've hit it, it was a friendly fire, but actually Ukrainian missile did the job. And you know, Russia also struggles with the losses of their armored vehicles. They have nothing to produce to replace those. Just yesterday I've showed you the video of the Russian attack where they used the civilian cars, and here we have one more video of the delivery of the civilian cars. Most of them are produced in the Russian Federation, well, maybe except of this Ford which was shown in the video, and this is a Russian Lada or Zhiguli. So basically they installed the meshes against the drones, they made vehicles more light, and that's it. Not just they used those vehicles for supplies deliveries, but also for attacks, as been shown yesterday. Well, maybe the only capable vehicle from all of those is this Russian Niva. It has some of the off-road capabilities. But still, you know, then you attack in civilian car with absolute zero armor. It is a one-way ticket basically. There is very low chance for survival. Yesterday we saw those two of the vehicles in the attack towards the Ukrainian positions. I personally thought that it is Niva, but actually it's the standard Zhiguli or Lada, which looks like that. It's the Soviet copy of Fiat, and actually my first car. My grandpa gave it to me then I was really young and just obtained the driving license. And you know, it's actually a good car. I like it a lot. It has a good clearance, by the way, so off-road capabilities. But it's not 4x4 vehicle, no, it has just the rear drive. Nevertheless, it can go across the fields in kind of the dry weather conditions. And you know what? Russia also struggles with their army men. Just look at those fresh delivered soldiers to the Russian front lines. They are in a great latest physics possible, so for sure they will be used for the Russian Spetsnaz forces. Just look how they move. Wow, absolute great warriors. Well, honestly saying, guys, it's a shame that those people are even in some sort of the army. It is absolute no-go where they want to. Oh my god, I actually have never seen the video like that with so many freaks in the same place. Those look like average Russian hobos with a hobby of drinking vodka, but somehow they are there fighting for Putin. So if you see those men in the Russian army, it means only one thing, that they struggle with their manpower. 100%. But nevertheless, if we go, for example, to review front lines, you see how Russia still has advantage over Ukraine and how they take the ground daily. So there is kind of the logical question, how is it possible? How Russia, with the crisis in their army, still keeps fighting and do it more effectively compared to Ukrainian army? Well, let me explain you. It is not the particular real situation we're gonna speak about, but about their tactics. So Russians usually advance with their mid-wave forward strike. And in this attack they use those kind of the freaks, ex-Russian prisoners and so on. But at the same time, not far away, they place quite capable forces with real military experience and who has good supplies. So after Ukraine eliminates this forward stupid mid-wave, Russia strikes from two of the sides or from one of the flanks, because Ukrainian positions been uncovered by the straightforward attack, so they know where Ukrainians are. Russians also use modern technology to locate Ukrainians, so yes, that is the purpose of this strike, to go and over. And for this reason, Russia handles their capable forces gently. But if we speak about North Koreans and those freaks prisoners, the only goal for them is to go straight ahead. And that's it, they've been wasted. Speaking about it, you may understand the destiny of those guys whom I just showed you. And again, the Russian soldiers this time wounded. They've been locked in this Russian barrack. They have no way out, so Russia put the extra security for them. They're not letting them to go to the hospitals even, and they call some of the doctors to provide initial medical support. But it is not enough in many of the cases. Why do they need that stuff? They need to send those soldiers for the further mid waves. Wounded, yes. What is happening in the Russian army is beyond understanding. It's the total craziness. But you know, it's the only tactics which they use, and they have the outcome. They're getting more territories, stupidly using their own men. This video was published several months ago, how one of the Russian volunteers, who is basically a boy, 18 years old, wanted to go to serve in the Russian army, giving up not just his best years in life, but the life itself. Because here is what he finally obtained fighting for the Russian army in Ukraine. He was serving just for a single month and then kaputted by Ukrainian mortars in this case. We know it from the reports of his family. Yeah, Russians do not hesitate to send even their kids to die in Ukraine. So here's a very interesting video.
Вернетесь мужиками. Мы вас все очень любим, поэтому мы вас все ждем дома. Мы очень надеемся, что у вас там будет все хорошо, а я знаю, что там все хорошо. Мой там, они вас ждут.
This lady is fine, she doesn't need to go to the Russian army. For her, everything is good. But for those young Russian boys, no. And it is the conscription servicemen, so they are not volunteers. And you know that Russia also sent them to fight sometimes. And after their compulsory conscription service term is over, they've been usually forced to sign the contract with the Russian army to continue the service, and that's how they've been sent to Ukraine. Russia is a huge meat grinder. By the way, my friends, if you want to support the job that I do on YouTube, you may also join me on Patreon. I'll put the link for the Patreon page right in the video description below. Thank you so much. I heard about this Ukrainian attack just today, but it happened like 5 days ago. It was fully robot strike by Ukrainian ground drones, accompanied by FPV and surveillance drones, so officially it's the first fully robot strike without any infantry forces. Yeah, it was the local one, just few of the drones were used, but they were used. The outcome of this mission, well, it's really hard to check. I need to find out a full video, but I guess it wasn't yet published. The attack was controlled, guided and monitored from this command post. By the way, guys, we had a new military update from the Deep State military map, so it was yesterday and it is today. Russia got Makarivka fully under control, as well as Storozhevo village, so now they're very close to Velika Novosilka and Neskuchne. One more reason why Russian army is successfully taking the ground, expediting their pace for the last few months, is because Ukrainian command is not that competent. The defense wasn't organized properly, and sometimes there is total chaos. Like for example, in this case, then Ukrainian command should have withdrawn the forces to keep them safe, while near Neskuchne, where there were some of the areas for evacuation. So roughly 1 week ago, Ukraine could organize the defense of the town from the western side, keeping this supply line. But now there is the gray area expansion. It means that with the fights, Ukraine cannot obtain supplies towards Velika Novosilka completely, because all of the roads basically were cut. And Russia now creates a big threat for the settlement. I believe that it will not hold for a long time. In other areas there is also update. Russia moved ahead over here and in Kurakhova itself, so yesterday and today. Russians also continue to expand their bridgehead near to Pokrovsk. But you see that 10 days ago it was like that, and 20 days ago it was almost non-existing. So let's see how it developed. And the Russians went to Shevchenko. I say to you by the time that their goal would be to create huge bridgehead and only after that continue advancement to the west or towards Pokrovsk. Now there is no chance for Ukrainians to cut this Russian bridgehead because it's already too big. This video I took from the Russian channel. Here you can see the Ilyushin 76 Russian transport airplane that delivered Russians back to their homeland. Russians went home not because their contract was over, but because they were zeroed. Yes, they were delivered in the black plastic bags. I turned the sound off, but here commenter says that it has never been like that, because 180 bodies were delivered by a single flight. Before they had 2 times less, and they thought that it was a huge number, but what is happening now, it's total madness, he says. As you can see, there are tens of the vans taking the bodies from the airplane to morgue. Putin still thinks that he may continue the war in Ukraine and it will be fine for him. But with the current losses, Russia absolutely should announce a new mobilization if they want to continue with the present pace. And they need millions of soldiers in their army if they want to conquer Ukraine fully. Well, according to the Russian officials, this year 420,000 Russian soldiers signed the contract with the Russian army voluntarily. The Russian propaganda say that the soldiers are motivated to protect their motherland, but no, they motivated just by the Russian money, which Putin may still pay to the Russian volunteers until the Russian economy is alive. There was the interview of one of the biggest Ukrainian volunteers, Taras Chmut. His fund works with the Ukrainian army a lot and helped tremendously. While he concerned about the situation on the front lines, he also blames the Ukrainian military command for incompetence or wrongdoing in many of the times. He also mentioned that the pace of the advancement of the Russian armed forces increased by 6 times compared to September. But at the same time, he assured that there should be no negotiations done between Ukraine and Russia at the current stage, because Russia will not follow those negotiations. In case of ceasefire, Russia will ask for lifting the sanctions to maintain their economy and to prepare for the next major strike towards Ukraine, and they learn on their own mistakes. That's why the second massive attack could be successful for Russians. And you know, we have an example in history, Russian-Chechen War, the first war Russia lost in Chechnya. They admitted that Chechnya is the sovereign republic of Ichkeria, but after a few years they attacked the country and demolished many of the cities, putting their own puppet government in charge. Kadyrov, I mean. So for sure Russia is looking for similar or even same scenario for Ukraine. Well, I watched this interview with Taras, it's kind of interesting, and I think I should create the post of what was discussed there. I'll publish it on my other social media accounts, which you may find in the video description just below. Alright, and to some of the news about the possible negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. Keith Halleck, who is appointed mediator between Ukraine and Russia by Trump, said that there should be a long, robust peace, not the second Minsk agreements. I just wonder how they want to achieve that without Russia being interested in peace. Orban is sure that the next year there will be end of the war with the peace agreement or no. Without the peace agreement, he said that one of the sides will lose the war. Yeah, you know, Orban says lots of the stuff, it's better not to take his words as something real. But here we have kind of the interesting post from Eric Trump, who is the son of Donald Trump. This picture shows how his daddy selects what to buy on Amazon: Canada, Greenland or Panama Canal. As some people say in the comments, soon there's gonna be a bully kid in the White House ruling United States. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's true, it's just some people say, but rhetorics of the Trump's team and Trump's relatives and Trump himself is kind of strange, I think you agree. And for example, Denmark takes the threats from Donald Trump team quite serious, because Greenland is the land of Denmark, and they want even to boost the military defense of their island, investing 1.5 billion United States dollars into this military project. So now Ukrainian allies are boosting their military against each other. Crazy. The United Kingdom may send its forces to Ukraine for the training mission. They will be deployed in the western part of Ukraine to provide the training for Ukrainian soldiers. Well, I guess initial training, because Ukrainian army in general is very experienced. But for the newcomers, obviously it might be, so Ukraine may release some part of its forces to fight on the front lines. Well guys, again, Merry Christmas for everyone. You're the best, and I'm gonna keep you updated on the situation in Ukraine. And not only, don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. As usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.